Welcome to our TrailFest Holdenby House tour. This is just going to be a short video just to show you roughly the route that we're going to be using for all 4 of the distances at TrailFest Holdenby House. You can see the rather splendid house behind me. We are going to obviously go around the grounds and through the fields that are around Holdenby House, but definitely worth grabbing a picture as you come from the car park that is just behind me onto the course as you go past the house, because it's absolutely stunning. Once you're out of the house sort of proper, you start to see the terrain that you're going to be running across the Northamptonshire countryside. We cross this horse field first. There won't be any horses in it on the day. They should be getting put into stables. And you're effectively at the top of the course at this point. So still downhill from here. The route is a mixture of grass fields like this one that I'm just about to come out of, and some farm tracks as well. And then we come onto one of these little intersecting sort of farm tracks, fire tracks, however you want to phrase it. But as you come up to this point, you begin to see, if you look behind me, all over that countryside that you're going to be running around. Absolutely beautiful, incredibly peaceful out here. If it wasn't for my whittering on, you'd hear the silence, a few birds. I'm out here filming in the middle of April on a lovely warm spring day. Obviously, depending on the time of the year of the event, the views are going to be a little bit different. All of this green that's behind me, come sort of August, will be wheat, and then get into the autumn, it'll all be farmed and ploughed and whatnot, and then in the winter it'll just be quite barren, and so on and so on. So the idea of this video isn't so you can sort of completely picture exactly what it's going to look like, but just to give you a little bit of an idea as to the amazing views you'll be seeing. So as I round this corner, the view behind me is obviously luscious green, but as we get into the summer, that will obviously start to turn to the yellows of the wheat and barley and the other crops that they grow here. But it's just to give you a little bit of an idea as to what you'll be running around, but just bear that one in mind. Some of the farm tracks that you'll be going along, as you can see behind me, are a little bit more rough and ready. What I would sort of describe as proper farm tracks, designed for tractors, not for people trying to get to barns that they've converted into houses. But as long as you're not out in super thin soled road shoes or carbon plated road shoes or anything like that, if you've just got some normal trainers on, you'll be absolutely fine. As you can see behind me, if you actually sort of go down the proper tractor tracks, it's actually quite smooth. It's only in these middle bits where it's got a load of hardcore, where it's a little bit rougher. But this is very, very runnable and very, very good underfoot. Behind me in the distance, you can see a church. Looks a long way away. It's not really, it's just the video, I would imagine. And if you really look carefully, you can see the tops of the house of Holdenby House that is just behind that. The church is separate to the house, but not really. It's just sort of behind sort of the border of the formal gardens, I would imagine it's how it's phrased. Absolutely beautiful church. You do run past it with about 200 meters to go at the end of the lap, so you're going to get to that point. So it might be, if you're doing multiple laps here, so if you're doing the 50k for example, you'll see runners going up past that church, going back towards the end of the lap, and you will get there. But at this point where I'm taking this video from, I'm only just over a mile into the course, and so you've got quite a long way to go at this point. But just the views and the stillness is absolutely incredible out here. as we go through this video and you get to see the course, the surroundings, and you know, everything that we'll bring to you at TrailFest Holdenby House, it's probably worth just mentioning that pretty much sort of 80% of this course is not on public footways. The house, they have open days, they have special events, and they have events on, but this land isn't open to the public. So coming to TrailFest Holdenby House means that you get to run places that quite literally, apart from me doing it a few times, no one else has ever run on. And fine, it's not bits of Everest that have been untouched, right? I'm not stupid. However, it does make for a nice change from doing the same routes around the same parks that 15 different organisers use. My understanding is that pretty much there's only been one running event, if not two, ever here. So this is sort of untouched, unrun, yeah, I think that's right, paths and trails that you'll be going along. And even the events that have run here before, I think the maximum lap they've done, I think, is 5k. So given that this is a 10k-ish course, there's bits where they've just never got to. So it is something different. It is somewhere to go that I can say pretty categorically that you've not run before. And it's beautiful. And because it's not, you know, there's no visitor centre, cafe, toilets, all that sort of jazz, it means that the paths, this is well timed, the paths are much like I'm just walking across at the moment, where there's been tractors along it. They're not going to come and repair it because all that's going to come along here is tractors again. So it does make it feel sort of nice trail running, and I guess proper trail running. That said, if the weather, as the helicopter goes over, if the weather's anything like it is at the moment, this ground is absolutely rock solid. I think in the first couple of miles that I've done, as I'm just recording this bit, there's only been one footstep I've made where it's felt soft at all. So unless we've got a very wet spell or it's rained quite a bit on the day, I would suggest that it's going to be very hard ground, but just uneven. So it's a nice introduction to trail running. But as I look around, as the helicopter goes away, it's just very peaceful and very nice to be running around somewhere that's just a little bit different, somewhere different from where I normally run, somewhere different from where you've ever run before. And it flows as well, so the course will obviously be heavily marked, as all Big Bear courses are, but it's not a case of doing 15 laps of the car park to make up the distance. The course flows really nicely. We're using nice wide sections where we can, like the bit that I'm currently on at the moment. Obviously, as we go through the wooded areas, it's not quite the same, but we're doing everything we can to make the course as interesting as possible. Little waterways down there, if that picks up on the camera as well. Very, very nice. Absolute classic Northamptonshire countryside. As if to highlight my point, you can see there's nice big thick tractor tracks behind me there, but if you don't run through the middle of them and you look sensibly, it's absolutely fine to get across. I would imagine on the wettest day in the middle of winter it's an absolute mud bath, but I'm going to take a punt that I will not be organising an event here on the wettest day in the middle of winter, and so you won't really need to worry about it too much. But if you are a road runner and this is you trying to do maybe your first ever trail event, or you've only ever done park run and you want to come and do a sort of trail 10k, you'll be absolutely fine with any sort of running shoe that you've got. probably wouldn't turn up in a pair of Converse, but if you've got a pair of running shoes, you'll be absolutely fine on all of this. You just have to look a little bit at where you're going, which is why I keep not looking at the camera because I'm just checking my footsteps, because I don't want to fall over while recording myself or twist an ankle. But if you're looking where you're going, it's not technical at all. But if you're not used to it, and you've never run on sort of anything that's not sort of, I don't know, council owned park type stuff, then you do just have to pay attention a little bit. Your legs do go a little bit left to right as well as forwards, but that's all part of the game. The more you do it, the less you sort of notice it, and your ankles toughen up and so on and so on. But this is very, very much entry-level trail running, and again, absolute silence. I must apologise for the dishevelled look, although I think I'm in shadow at this moment, but it's quite a warm day. As is always the case whenever I film these, I have to point out that I'm very unfit. Luckily I'm much better at putting events on than I am at running them. This is one of the few sections it's actually a public footpath, really wide, and also as you run along here, you can be thankful that I hadn't worked out a way to get you up to the top of that hill, because it is very beautiful to look at the 3 trees at the top. But we are on our way, if you can see behind me, I think we are on our way to go and run up past that essentially abandoned farmhouse or shed of some sort, which is really, well, one of 2 what I would call proper hills. This is Northamptonshire countryside. As somebody that, well, not for a while, but as somebody that goes out on the bike around here, it catches you out because it's not particularly hilly generally. It's very much what you'd call rolling, in that it's never really flat, so you tend to be going either up or down, and you can't sort of pick out, oh, that was a really big hill, or that was a massive downhill, or any of that. But you get to the end, you're like, oh blimey, that was quite tough. And that is sort of, it's very typical around here of Northamptonshire countryside, and that is my experience of at least this part of Northamptonshire, where you can be out on your bike going around the roads, and as much as there's not loads of hills, I mean you can find them, but it's not as though every hill is out of your saddle absolutely hammering yourself. There are lots and lots of just up and down, up and down. And I've chosen to talk about this on the flattest bit of the whole route, but behind me, or in front of me, I did just see a monkjack try and jump over this little bit that's next to me. So, I know it's a hare. So I don't know if you can see the hare behind me. I've already chased 2. Unsurprisingly, they both won, and they were too quick, I think, for me to get the GoPro out as well. It seems to have gone now. I'll have to check on the video as to whether that works. But it's just wildlife, peacefulness, open countryside, quiet. Come and join us. This is the bottom of the first proper hill that you're going to come up here. It's about mile 4. It's sort of at the far end of the course, really, at the bottom of it. What is essentially a rectangular course is at the bottom left-hand corner of it. I think it comes out at about 15%. If that's wildly inaccurate, I'll put some text on to correct it, but I think it's about 15%. Again, it's good underfoot, nice and grassy. It's part of the footpath as well, I believe, so it's pretty well maintained. But it's definitely something that lots of you will walk up. It's some that the faster ones will use to their advantage to, you know, if you're racing, to try and pull away from other people. Luckily, the views at the top are pretty special, so it's worth the climb. You're not going up a big climb to get to the local industrial site with the incinerator on. You're going up a big climb to get views over rural Northamptonshire. So it's worth the effort. But as you can hear, despite the fact all I'm doing is walking quite slowly, adding on the talking is making me get quite out of breath already. So this is the first sort of proper hill I would suggest that you get to. It's nothing crazy, but you definitely know you've got to it because you do a 90-degree turn onto it and then it sort of hits you. It's probably 200 or 300 meters long, so it's not massive, but definitely worth saving some beans for when you want to get up this. In the last clip I said 15%. It probably is as an average. Again, I'll correct that if it's not. But there's a very short section, maybe 20 meters, that really kicks, and then you think you've got to the top, but again, as my laboured breathing shows, you're definitely not quite there. These guys probably won't be here on race day, on event day, but it is nice to have all the calves in attendance behind the fence just before anybody gets too worried. There shouldn't be any cattle or anything to run through. Obviously the landowner knows we're here. We're planning this a year in advance, so beyond some agricultural disaster, it'll all be cleared and none of them will be on the course. To be honest, we'll reroute the course if we have to go around the animals. As I keep on saying, it's absolutely beautiful here for wildlife, and if you're keen on this sort of stuff, which personally I am, there is an amazing app called the Merlin ID app. And so you turn it on and then it listens and then it tells you all the bird songs that it's heard. So when I come to places like this, I tend to turn it on at the beginning and then have a look at the end and realise that there were loads of birds that I didn't see that were quite cool. So this is what we've got for today's little trip out. So hopefully you can see that. We've got pheasants, dunnocks, great tits, blackcaps, goldfinch, chiffchaff, woodpecker, loads of skylarks. I can't say I know what a greater whitethroat is, but it doesn't say that it's rare, so it must be something that's common that I just don't know about. I'd very much suggest doing it whenever you go for any sort of runs. It is a very cool little app and it's free as well, which is even better. But just to sort of highlight, you're really in the countryside here. This isn't sort of a country park or a county park or any of that. This is absolute countryside, middle of nowhere. I think I've sort of seen 4 or 5 hares as I've gone around. I don't think I've seen a hare for years. I've seen muntjac, pheasants everywhere. Absolutely beautiful. Obviously, when you lot are all running around, we might sort of scare these animals off a little bit, so they might be a bit harder to see. But you know they're there. Hopefully they'll show their heads a little bit, show their faces, and it just makes for amazing running. This is the bottom of the final sting in the tail. Your watch will be getting close to 6 miles at this point on the first lap. Obviously, if you're doing multiple laps, do the maths. And you're then going to run up this gravel hill. The gravel is quite soft underfoot, which means that every step you take, you go backwards a little bit, just to add to the joy. And it's steeper than the last hill as well. Again, this isn't some sort of alpine pass or anything, but given the rest of the route, this is very notable of being quite a punchy little hill to finish on. And for the half marathon, and probably for the marathon as well, I think when you do your out and back, this will be part of that out and back. So essentially you're going to run out from the house down this hill about half a mile along, turn around and then come back up this hill, which is just such a lovely way to start a marathon. I joke, but needs must. Again, it's not super steep, But when I say to you about the hill at the end, there's not going to be much, you're going to know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so again though, when you do get to the top, you are greeted with a beautiful church and lovely views over Northamptonshire. These are the arches that you'll finish running through. I don't know if you can see in the background as well, there's currently a gigantic bird of prey in here because they have a falconry centre here as well. I don't know what the bird of prey is, but hopefully it doesn't eat cameras, because otherwise it might come and gobble me up, because it is genuinely massive, and it's just been flying around, which is why I'm not whispering, but I'm not going to go and run through both those arches, which was going to be the way back, because I don't want to get eaten by a big bird. Not great for the video. But this is going to be the field in which we start the event. Those arches are of genuine historic relevance. You can Google that to work out exactly what they are, but it is quite a big deal, those arches. So we're going to run through the middle of those as the start, essentially, or very close to the start, and then you'll run back through them at the end of each lap as well. We're going to finish the video with the most boring part, but also one of the most important parts, which is where the parking is going to be. And the parking is going to be in this field behind me. Regardless of the weather, you'll be absolutely fine parking on this grass here. They have a fireworks festival, it's obviously November, and they park 1,000 cars on here, and they have absolutely no issues whatsoever. So in the summer months when we'll be holding these events, it will be no issue parking in here. Really big, really large. Obviously park sensibly. If you've got the choice between a Lamborghini and a Land Rover, come in the Land Rover, but everybody's going to be able to park here absolutely fine. And when you do walk from the car park, it's probably one of the most spectacular walks from a car park to a start line there ever is, because you'll go past the house and through what is just a spectacular house. I've got no idea what this thing behind me is, but looks incredibly cool, and if we could have put it on the course somehow, I definitely would have done, but you'll get to see it as you walk to the start. So that is everything from TrailFest Holdenby House. Hopefully you've got enough information now to convince you to sign up, and if you've already signed up, you've got enough information for you to come along on the day and be confident that you're going to enjoy yourself. Hopefully I'll see you on the start line very soon.